Absolutely. Is there anything else I can help you with? Thanks for your call.
So familiar, right? We've all heard that before. Why is that? It's because we've been doing things the same way for so long. For my time in contact centers, the one thing I really tried to revolutionize the most was KPIs, how we measure people. Because for the most part, I don't think the KPIs that we've been using for decades actually drive the right behaviors within people. Finally, we are in a time where the contact center industry is going through such a massive shift where AI and data analytics are finally making sophisticated behavioral measurements possible. And while many people think that this means fewer jobs, I'm not actually sure that's true. The 2024 ICMI State of the Contact Center report says that 87% of contact centers are still hiring. That's, to me, a huge opportunity for reskilling talent. But here's the problem. We're still measuring success the same way we did 20 years ago, maybe more. Abandonment rate, average handle time, basic quality scores, metrics designed for a simpler era. Now, if we want to actually retain skilled agents, which, let's be honest, the industry has failed to do, and the data that I've looked at over the last 6 years says that the average attrition rate in contact centers still sits around 30%. I actually think that's probably conservative. If we want to change that, we need to fundamentally rethink how we measure and manage performance. Because right now, we've created a destructive cycle that works against everything that we're trying to achieve. Think about it. When agents take time to truly understand a customer's problem, build rapport, provide education, their average handle time goes up. When they craft personalized responses instead of rushing through scripts, their productivity scores drop. We're literally measuring and punishing the behaviors that create exceptional customer experiences. And the numbers do prove it. 85% of organizations track abandonment rate. 84% measure average handle time, but only 38% measure agent satisfaction. We've created cultures that obsess over operational efficiency while completely ignoring whether our people feel valued or empowered. And the result, only 54% of agents last beyond 2 years. Now, I'm not saying we should throw out average handle time entirely. I don't need every workforce manager coming at me for that. AHT does matter. But what is wrong is how we're trying to achieve these numbers. We've been optimizing the human instead of the system. That's not how we work. Think about it. While we're pressuring agents to speak faster, wrap calls quicker, we're ignoring the technical friction that actually is driving up their handle time. Laggy knowledge bases, systems requiring multiple logins, screens that take forever to load. Think about it in your day-to-day job. Every time you have to switch screens, log in, the frustration that you feel, put that into context of an agent who has got somebody on the phone and pressure to get off that. It magnifies that tenfold. These interfaces that force agents to toggle between 6 different applications just to complete a single task. This poor infrastructure, these overloaded networks, these audio lags that force both agents and customers to repeat themselves, adding cognitive load. It erodes trust with customers every interaction. We need to stop obsessing over talk time and start removing workflow friction. We need to focus on that because when we stop obsessing over talk time and start removing workflow friction, we actually free customer service agents to focus on what they actually do best, which is solving problems and building relationships. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The data that we can now access tells us another story. The most predictive metrics aren't operational, they're actually behavioral. They're patterns that seem completely unrelated to performance. They can tell us deeper stories about agent experiences and organizational health. And for example, login hesitation. When an agent starts extending that time between logging in and going available, it might actually suggest disengagement. weeks before the turnover actually happens. Let me give you another example. Putting someone on mute mid-call and the frequency of that can actually reveal whether it's confidence issues or system frustrations. These are things that traditional metrics completely miss. What about ring time patterns, like waiting to the very last second to answer a call? Maybe this signals mounting pressure. An agent who used to answer immediately, but over time starts to let that ring just a little bit longer, just so that they can create these micro recovery moments because the stress is building. These are things we don't measure. I think what I'm trying to say is that the power isn't in individual metrics. It's in how these behavioral signals collectively paint a picture of agent well-being and attrition risk, often weeks, maybe even months before our traditional or conventional measures even catch it. For decades, the contact center industry has been stuck looking in the rearview mirror, measuring yesterday's problems to try and fix today's and tomorrow's performance. But new data capabilities make real-time behavioral insights possible. They support intervention alerts triggered by extended silences or help-seeking actions that provide resources before a situation escalates. System complexity indicators that emerge when an application is being switched so many times, and that's increasing right across your center. Knowledge gaps that surface through search patterns during calls. This isn't just about what we can measure, it's about when we can measure it. Instead of forensic analysis of what went wrong, we see problems forming and then we can intervene before they compound. Traditional metrics served us when contact centers were simpler, but they're no longer aligned with creating great customer experiences. The 87% of contact centers hiring right now have a choice. They can break the measurement cycle that's been plaguing this industry for decades, or they can choose to measure what matters rather than what's convenient, what is predictive rather than what's historical, and what drives humans to flourish rather than what drives humans to absolute exhaustion. Have a think about it. Would love to know your thoughts. If you want to read the article that I published on ICMI, then I'll put the link down below. Until next time, and as always, hooroo.